Welcome to another episode of COVIDcast. Do not change your channel. You are in the right place. This is a COVIDcast takeover. I'm your guest host today, Laurianne Ainsworth. I'm the CEO of the Branson Center of Entrepreneurship. And today we're talking about all things business productivity tools. Next time we will have Nevada and Rochelle, but today it's all about me and the amazing guests that we have today on the show. Now, what are business productivity tools? Because that's what we're talking about. So for businesses and especially small businesses, it is challenging to manage all the aspects needed to run a successful business and ensure optimal productivity and maximum profits. Maximizing productivity and profitability are the ultimate goals for all business owners, particularly important for SMEs seeking to grow their business. The ability to produce efficiently outputs, products, services, and positive results is what separates winning businesses from all the others. Now, there are a myriad of business productivity tools or applications and software, anything that you want to call it, that have been created to improve and optimize your productivity for all your business needs. The issue is that we often fear using technology because of the difficult language and our sense that we would not be able to utilize it effectively. So why bother invest? It's time to change all of that. It's time to go digital, and let's go digital and let the PSOJ and COVIDCASTJA help you get there. So today I have some amazing guests who are going to be talking all about their expertise in business productivity tools. But first, I want to mention our SME memo. Now, if you don't have the memo, it is a document about 10 pages, which has lots of information, lots of tools for you to be able to use to see which productivities might help you in your business. Email us at sme@psoj.org. Now, another thing I want to talk about before we get our guests on the show is the Let's Go Digital Conference. That is happening on March 5th and March 6th. Now, the Let's Go Digital is a public-private sector initiative to transform Jamaican micro, small, and medium enterprises. The overall aim is a significant increase in MSMEs digitized by the end of 2021. Now, this is so important, guys, because COVID has hit. So many businesses are now losing their customers because their customers are all online. So if you're not digitized, you're missing the boat. You need to get on with it. So make sure you're at the conference, right? And of course, the MSME conference is positioned to help you digitize everything. And some of the objectives is going to be reducing business costs. So important right now because everyone wants to save. Improving engagement with your customers and suppliers, which is also so very important now that we have COVID, where you need to be able to reach your customers, reach your suppliers in a different way. Creating greater efficiencies and improving your workflow, improving product and service offerings, because, hey, things have changed now. We're no longer doing business as usual, are we? And of course, increase employee skill set for the future, because all of our employees now need to do work in a different way. So many of us are remote working, or we're working with our team members who now have to use different technology. So many things are going to be happening at the conference. Now, I want to mention that the conference is happening on the 5th, but on the 6th, we're going to be having virtual booths. So that's the day after the conference, where you're going to have tech providers who are going to be showcasing all of their technology that can support you in your business. And guess what? It gets even better, because you're going to learn about those businesses, but the DBJ, the Development Bank of Jamaica, is also going to be there giving away $200,000 in grants to MSMEs as a part of a voucher program for their technology needs. So how great is this? You're going to learn about the technology that you need, and then you're going to have access to some funding to be able to get that technology. It's a win-win. And of course, it wouldn't be a conference without giveaways. So there are going to be giveaways like a hotel stay at a spa retreat and a grill, which of course you're going to need because you're going to be working smarter, not harder. And of course, lunch at places like Opa, Ribcage, and Terra Nova. One-on-one consulting packages for businesses, and mint cleaning services for your home or car, and so much more, because you're going to keep sanitized same way, right? Even though we're digital, we have to keep sanitized. So make sure you're there and stay tuned to keep up with us. We're going to be adding more guests and more giveaways. So make sure you're on with that. Okay, all of that out of the way, now I want to introduce my first guest, who is Jordan Baskett. He is the founder of CRMmetry. Now, Jordan Baskett, the CEO of CRMmetry, is the first Salesforce consultancy in the English-speaking Caribbean. He is 6-time Salesforce certified, which means I'm smart. It means I know things, right? 6-time certified with a demonstrated history of success in the computer software industry, experienced in the areas of negotiation, sales, telesales, e-commerce, and customer relationship management. CRMmetry was founded by Jordan and his wife, Andrea Johnson, 4 years ago to bring the expertise of Salesforce consultancy to Jamaica. The dynamic duo and their team have a diverse history of not only implementing enterprise technology, but building and customizing software to fit the complex needs of their clients, which come from a range of industries. So, without further ado, welcome, Jordan.
Hey, welcome. Thank you very much for having me today.
Yeah, so glad to have you, Jordan. So, Jordan, tell us a little bit about CRMmetry.
So
what's it all about?
I think you said a lot about CRMmetry already that I sort of stole my thunder. But we brought Salesforce consulting to the English-speaking Caribbean, which I'm very proud of. It started out as sort of a project of do we think that this can happen to, oh my God, we have a whole business now. So a little bit about the Salesforce platform. It's about 20% of the CRM market. The closest other ones are about 3 to 4%. We noticed that a lot of our customers, as well as just Salesforce in terms of CRM, were using outdated integration techniques for getting all the data to go different places. Because once you start going digital, you need to have all the information, going to the right place in the right way. So we actually also became the first MuleSoft partner in the region, which is the leader in API-led integration. One of the things that led us to start the CRMmetry was we saw it as a win-win for the local economy, as we're able to offer this kind of service, which usually comes at a high premium if you've implemented it before, a very high premium compared to other technology, as well as it also gives local persons the ability to compete and work on the global level. So ultimately, we're helping grow everything.
Right. Let me stop you there for a second, Jordan, because I want to make sure everybody understands what we're talking about. So just explain what a customer relationship management system or CRM is. Like, what does it do?
Sure. So it's a technology that helps businesses connect and manage their relationships with their customers. And potential customers, I should say, depending on what type of business you are. So a lot of what we do is we help companies track the interaction that they have with the customer, not just sales, but when's the last time you talked to them? And then when we get more into like financial services, we're looking at birth dates, children's birth dates, all these kind of things to make sure that the customer understands that the business they're working with knows them and build rapport.
Yeah, and that is so important now in particular because, we always have to remember that we're talking to people behind the screen, right? All of our customers are actual people. And so what you're saying CRMs do is help us to track that customer experience and really understand that journey that our customer has been on. So you mentioned birthdays a while ago. So a CRM would be able to, let's say, capture my customer's birthday so I can send them a birthday email or something like that.
So that's very like old school is actually just capturing. What we're doing with Salesforce is we're actually automating that. So once the day comes up, boom, automatic email. Looks like it's from Lorianne saying happy birthday, insert name here, etc. So they really personalize that experience to take it up a level.
Yeah, and that's so important right now because, customers are becoming very discerning with where they spend their money. And it's becoming so important to have that kind of customer service that really stands out. And so it sounds like a customer relationship management system can help you do that. So tell me, how do I know if I need one? Like, should every business have one, big or small? What are some of the things that I should?
Well, I would say, especially the theme of the talk today, when I was younger, I used to say, who doesn't need one, right? Everyone needs to know everything. But, now that I got a couple of gray hairs, I understand that, we really need to look at the pain points. Like, what are we solving by putting the system in, right? So if we're not, there's been situations where we have implemented like part of Salesforce for an organization to meet their pain points, but, other things that are sort of low value to the business, we keep that in a legacy system and just worry about integrating them together, if that
Right.
makes sense.
Yeah. And, I just wanted to say to everyone who's watching and who's on the chat, don't be afraid to put your questions in, talk to me like a 6-year-old if you need to ask your question, because that's what we're here to do. We want to make sure that you understand what we're talking about and how this can really support you in your business.
Exactly.
So, okay. Yeah. So make sure you ask your questions. We have Jordan right here with us. And, some of these things can be so intimidating. So we really want to simplify these systems for everyone.
Exactly.
So, if you are going into a company, right, how do you assess if there is a need for the CRM and what type of CRM they need?
Well, we focus more on the pain points, like why have you invited us here today, right? Every business, as a business owner, anyone or a department head, your time is money. You could be doing a million other things. So what makes us coming in significant to you? And that's one of the big drivers that we have around, how we're assessing things. Now, once we look at what your problems are, we look at, is this something that CRM can solve, or do you need another type of system, right?
Yeah.
Not all systems are created equal. I guess I have sort of the advantage of being on the Salesforce platform, which is one of the largest platforms. So usually when people have a difference, like a scenario for me, there's a solution that I can put in. Also, one of the things about being on the Salesforce.com platform as well is the fact that a lot of people actually build solutions directly on top of it. So I used to work for a company that was actually acquired by Salesforce because we got very good at running the enterprise nonprofit space. So a lot of the really big brands were nonprofits were our customers, and we built a proprietary platform on top of Salesforce. So it opened it up so we could, they could use Salesforce to do a lot of the low code things that they needed, as well as what we built.
Yeah. I want to dive a little deeper into that because I want people to really understand that, when you're talking about pain points, first of all, it's really looking at in your business, what is that you're spending so much time on that's maybe taking you away from a core function, right?
Exactly.
Or something else that you're doing. So can you give us an example of something like that,
Sure,
like a pain point?
So like we would, for a lot of companies, it could be, getting new customers, right? They, what we see a lot in small business is customers tend to, our customers, businesses tend to not really have a structured approach towards acquiring new business. So we help them structure that approach based on the information that they have, so they can understand, all right, this customer is, this potential customer is like a prospect, right? We don't have all the information that we need to fully qualify if they can buy our product or not, right? And then from there, we're looking at someone that's qualified. Now we know that they are, they have the need, they have the resources to fund what they need in terms of whatever our product may be, whether it be a comb or a Salesforce type solution, a car, whatever it may be. So we break it down into like a funnel, and we help you understand what that funnel is. And then and then also nowadays we're aided by, these big words like AI and like machine learning. So we can help, the really small companies automatically understand who's going to be a good prospect, who's not going to be a good prospect based on information that they've already put into the system. Right.
So somebody in the chat said, Vanessa, because I have a small cleaner service business and I want to know how to get more clients. So, you mentioned funnel, and I know, Vanessa, client acquisition, it's a different thing, but how could a CRM system help someone like Vanessa with her clients, with acquiring clients?
Well, a big thing about it is one of the things that I see locally is a lot of people spend a lot of money on marketing, but they don't really address the ROI on said marketing. Yeah. So if you go out and you have a contact us form on Facebook, Instagram, people are giving you their information. What a CRM helps you to do is helps you to organize all that information so you can know, all right, this person reached out on X date. Have I followed up with them? Are they interested? And track all that different type of information. So once you spend the money on marketing, we help you sort of round it out and bring it home and turn it into sales.
Yeah, I love this because this is how I want to break it down, because when you get a client or a prospect comes into your funnel, and I know, the language funnels, everybody talks about funnels, and guys, it's just really what's the experience that somebody who's could be a potential customer goes through from just learning about you to actually becoming a customer of yours.
Exactly.
And a CRM can help with that. So just to give an example, and you mentioned something a while ago, and if somebody comes in, they come to your website, they put in their email address, and it goes into email black hole somewhere, and you never follow up with this customer, you lose that customer. And I can't tell you how many companies here in Jamaica that I have written to and have not come back to me. So
Exactly.
a CRM system. So tell us how a CRM system helps us with that.
Well, I mean, it depends. So it depends on the CRM itself, but how it's set up. So what we tend to set up is we will take all, whether it be a spreadsheet, another CRM system, whatever, and we put all that information into the CRM. Now, one of the big terms that we talk about now is like marketing one-to-one, or the one-to-one understanding of who the customer is. So let's say Lorianne comes in and she writes me an email, right? What we want to do is we want to organize all of her information in one place, so we know it was Lorianne sending the email. So if we're using a CRM properly, we can see that Lorianne sent this email. She visited our location on X date. She has made these different purchases. So we're going to try to make it good to Lorianne based on, maybe her client profile, anything, because, it takes a lot more effort when you're looking at interactions with customers, there's a lot more people that talk about their one bad experience than all the good experiences that they ever had. Mm-hmm. So we need to take that into account and make sure that every client has a good experience. And if they don't, we do our best to make it right with them.
Yeah, absolutely. And yes, Francine Houghton, client acquisition is actually a really big keyword here with this whole the CRM, because this is where you're managing all of your people that are your potential customers, right? And I think the beauty about a CRM is that it allows you to look at that sales cycle, right? Because when you have somebody who comes in, you may not convert that person in a day, depending on your service. It may take you 3 months to convert that client. And when you have that CRM, it gives you those kind of insights, so you can understand what it is, what your numbers might look like when you are acquiring clients, right?
Exactly. And then also, what were the characteristics that made this person close in 1 day versus this person to close in 3 months? And how do we get these people that it takes 3 months to close up to the same level where this first person is? And that a lot of time is done with a lot of either a marketing campaign or different activities we can to sort of warm them up to where we need to be.
Yeah, and that's brilliant, because what you're saying is that the CRM is where all of your data, all of that insight lies. So you own this thing, right? So when you are able to look at it and see this person closed, or this salesperson closed this client in a week, but this one took 3 months. What happened there? How can we make it efficient? So that's what we're talking about. This is a productivity part of the CRM, right? Exactly. I have a question here, Norman. Can CRM be tailored for a specific strategy? If so, how can it be protected from my competitors?
So that, I guess, to speak on CRMmetry's part of it, we sign NDAs with all of our customers. We want them to be very comfortable sharing their strategy, knowing that we're not just running to the next company, giving them exactly what was done before. Every CRM and that's one of the beauties of Salesforce is, with Salesforce.com, it's low code. If you use it, so you don't need a web developer to do every little thing inside of the CRM. And we actually, every time we go into a situation, we are customizing it specifically to the strategy that the customer is looking for, which is usually based on, like we said, the ROI that they're looking for, or what ROI they're trying to get. And the best thing about a CRM is it makes the different things you're doing measurable. It's not did you call so-and-so back? It's how many times did you call so-and-so and at what date and time? So you create these patterns for yourself.
Yeah. So there's a lot that you can do with CRMs. And I want to ask a question, because I'm sure people are asking, what kind of guides someone's choice of what CRM system they should put in place, and what makes you choose one type of CRM over another?
I would say, first off, every CRM that you should choose should be based on ROI, what you're looking to get from it, and how it's going to help you get there. When it comes to, again, we we use Salesforce. We are a Salesforce company. We are a customer. We live and breathe it because of the scale that it works on. And that one of the big things that we like about it is the fact that there's so many integrations. So there's thousands upon thousands of integrations to most other sort of SaaS systems. So what we see a lot of times in organizations is Salesforce itself becomes sort of that central hub of all the information, and then it sort of shoots out to the other informations, whether it be like a MailChimp, a DocuSign,
Right.
a data storage for files like let's say Dropbox, Box, whatever you may have it. So that's what we work with. What we see is right now, there's been something out there called an ERP, which is an enterprise resource management system, which a lot of times tends to deal with inventory and consulting. And what we're seeing is right now, when it comes to ERPs versus CRMs, they're sort of becoming very blurry. So it would depend on what the goals of the client are, whether we're looking more towards, I guess, an ERP style implementation of Salesforce around inventory management, accounting, or are we looking at like a sales style implementation based on us trying to drive sales as a pain point, trying to get new customers, keep maintain relationships on the sales aspect, or are we looking more towards like a service? Are we trying to have like a ticketing system? Are we trying to handle sort of the post-sales process? What are we looking to do?
Right. So it really depends on your business model, really, as you said, what your pain point, what it is you're trying to be more efficient in. But one of the questions that we had from Kenny is talking about integration and how can you integrate all these platforms, which you did mention, right? Yes. So I just wanted to kind of touch back on that so everyone really understand, because you also mentioned layering on top of Salesforce. And just to bring that home, when we talk about productivity tools and tools that you use in your business. So most of you are probably familiar with MailChimp, as Jordan explained. You're probably familiar with, Salesforce now, and you have other tools like Dropbox or G Suite. Basically, all of them can work together because of Salesforce, right?
Yeah, so and that's the big thing is, especially like at a small business level, like when we're talking about big businesses, really big businesses, they have hundreds of millions of Jamaican dollars to integrate everything together, give a real seamless experience. But for like us small companies, we're going to want to start up smaller, right? So how do we get, these different integrations happening? And a lot of it will come through maybe like a plug and play tool, like a Zapier, which is like a click sort of integration, something that we're actually launching, in partnership with Salesforce, what that MuleSoft does, or, Salesforce, which is, more of a press a couple buttons here, and then information from Salesforce goes to MailChimp, goes to Dropbox, whatever.
So we can integrate all of those things. So it's possible. And of course, as you said, it depends on if you're a bigger business that has a lot more other needs or larger needs. But what is a range of the cost of a CRM system? So, I want you to give me like the low end and then the high end so we can understand what the decision is.
So the low end, I mean, and it also depends on sort of the model that you pay for it is going to drive part of the cost. Are you open to paying annually? Do you want to pay month to month? Do you want to pay multi-year? But what we would say, like, I can't really go into the nitty gritty of pricing because I have a lot of contracts out there and I don't want to upset anyone. But we can say the listed price on the low end would be like $25 a month. You might be able to see it like 17, et cetera, somewhere like that kind of range per month per user, all the way up to when we get to like the really big companies where the listed price is about $400 per user per month. Now, we're trying to leverage a lot more at $400 a user per month than 25.
Right. So, so there are options out there. That's really options. There are options. Whether you have you have less needs or you have a lot of needs, you have a range that you can satisfy almost everybody.
But there's one thing I just want to throw in there is there's also the concept of the actual implementation cost. How much does it cost to set up? Now, when we're talking about like the really low end licensed products, it tends to be, if I were looking at one of the low end products, I would look for something that's sort of out of the box where there's very little setup to do. Because you can get the gambit at the lower end. So I wouldn't say advise people, don't go for something just because of the cost. Look at what we would call the total cost of ownership, right? Because something might be $3 or $4 a user license. I mean, out there maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Once you factor in the fact that you have to pay for a server, if you have a local server, the air conditioning costs, all these different things are going to,
those go into that cost, right? So you don't have to think about that.
Mm-hmm.
So very interesting. I'm seeing the poll here. So 67% of the people who are watching here right now said they do not have a CRM, right?
Mm-hmm.
And one of the reasons why a lot of people don't utilize many of these technologies is because they're probably not going to implement it, or they're not going to use it, right? And that's been the story of a lot of people. I know I'm guilty of that. So how do you help your clients to implement and ensure that they use it so that they're really getting that ROI?
So I would say the big thing that we do, and that's a really good question, is with our customers, we have conversations. A lot of customers that we have get very excited about Salesforce. So they go on YouTube, they watch a whole bunch of videos because there's a whole ecosystem around there of people that would love to talk for days about Salesforce. And we talk through what full utilization looks like for them. Now we get customers every now and then that want to do multiple things. I want to do sales. I want to do service. I want to do inventory management. I want to do roadside tracking, all these different things. And when it comes to those, very ambitious things, we advise them, two things, right? These tools are all about ROI driving. So you buying all of these different solutions at once is not going to be as successful because it's a lot of people doing a lot of change at once. Right. Mm-hmm. So what we try to do is we try to get them to take it piece by piece. So they're actually, from the ROI that they would get from maybe doing sales, if that's their big pain point, the money that they would, save or make from, switching to like a Salesforce or something or another system, that then from there, that then fuels the money or that it would take for the next implementation. Right. For them to move to service or for them to move to roadside or something. So instead of looking at it, and I think that's one of the things that sort of stifles a lot of companies from fully implementing is they look at technology as a cost rather than something that's going to make them money.
So there's a lot that, as you said, that can go into a CRM. So it's not about just purchasing all of these different platforms and technologies, etc. But it's really looking at what's the big issue that's happening in your business that you need help and support in to really be efficient and productive, and then start there, and you can always build out. And I think that's such an important point, Jordan, because there's this shiny object syndrome where we just say, oh, there's this tool and there's that tool, let me grab that tool, right? Exactly. And then you go and you realize that you're spending all this money and you may not need the tool that someone else in their business needs. So
exactly.
Do you offer any other services in your business with CRMmetry outside of CRM systems?
So, we're very specialized, which is something that I like to keep because I don't want to be a jack of all trades, master of all trades. But we've sort of, grown in the CRM sort of space and sort of looking at what our customers need and what would help us to help them do more, right? So, like, for instance, at CRMmetry, we have a really eclectic group of people working with us, people that have worked at Lloyd's of London, someone that's actually worked with, MultiChoice, which is a broadcast company in Africa, and even someone that worked at Salesforce.com previously. So in order to sort of keep up with what we're trying to do, what we have done is a couple different things. We've gotten into development ops or DevOps, as commonly known, when it comes to specifically Salesforce, which is a very new thing, in terms of tools. And we also work with something commonly called RPA, which is robotic process automation, specifically for the Salesforce space, because these are the different things that will help organizations sort of take the ROI that they're getting from just using a Salesforce up to the next level, because they're able to get the implementations, through faster, as well as they're not spending as much manual time doing the repetitive tasks of testing all the software that we
right. Guys, I mean, thank you so much, Jordan. I mean, I could really talk to you for hours about CRMs and, sales funnels and that whole acquisition because it's so important in business right now. But I think what's important that everyone takes away is CRMs are something that can support your business at various different levels. And it's probably something that you should look into. I'm sure Jordan and his team, Andrea, I see you're in the chat, you can give them some more information. So make sure you check out CRMmetry.com. And thank you, Jordan, for being on the show. Really appreciate you coming on.
Thank you very much. And the next time you do a takeover, we'll talk more about CRMs.
The next time I take over. Yeah. All right. Thank you, Jordan. Take care.
Goodbye.
All right. That was Jordan from CRMmetry. Thank you so much, Jordan. I think that we're going to go to a little video right now, tell you a little bit more about the Let's Go Digital conference. So that's coming up.
Hello, everybody. Stop what you're doing right now. The following is a very important message for micro, small, and medium-sized businesses. Set your calendars for March 5th and March 6th, 2021 for the free Let's Go Digital conference. You heard me right. It's free.
Let's Go Digital.
Those who are at revenue of about 1 million per year to about 500 million per year, or those who want to learn more about digital transformation, this conference is for you. Set your calendar for March 5th and 6th, 2021 for our Go Digital virtual conference. We'll be sharing success stories from companies just like yours that have already gone on this digital journey. You will see solutions from fellow MSMEs that have technical solutions that will empower your business.
We are going to break down the technology choices in a simple to understand language and ensure that you walk away from Let's Go Digital with the right technology solutions for your business.
We have been working with the Jamaica Technology Digital Alliance and have cast a wide net, inviting tech companies to come on board with delivering on this mission. We'll be exploring simple to more comprehensive e-commerce solutions, payment plugins, banking platforms, logistics platforms for warehousing, distribution, and data intelligence. Don't be afraid as we'll walk through each of these things.
Let's Go Digital!
The Development Bank of Jamaica, that's DBJ, will be providing grants to MSMEs of $200,000. You've got to be at the Let's Go Digital conference because we are going digital.
So come as an expert or a beginner. We promise it will be worth your while. Register at www.smallbusinessportal.com. Looking forward to seeing you all there. Okay?
Let's go digital, digital. We wanna go digital. Let's get in a digital. Let me hear your software talk.
Let's get digital. Digital. No, I love that song. Why didn't we play that at the beginning of the segment? We should have just got jam into that song. Whoever put that together, kudos. I love that. All right. So we are back talking about business productivity tools. My next guest is Jason Clarke from Optimum Trading Limited. Jason is a dedicated business development professional with a wealth of experience in healthcare, finance, technology, education, and distribution. In his present role at Optimum Trading Limited, he is responsible for the crafting of the overall strategy for the growth and development of the company. As the Chief Business Development Officer, he serves as the architect for major institutional transactions and key business opportunities. He has extensive business development experience in the Caribbean, United States, Central and South America, Asia, and Africa. He's a global international gentleman. Jason, welcome.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Hi, I like you're keeping it safe and sanitized.
I wanted to highlight and point out the importance of wearing a mask.
I love it, of course. Guys, it's so important. Numbers are going up. Make sure you wear your mask. Jason, welcome. We're here talking all about business productivity tools, and I would love for you to tell us a little bit about Optimum.
Okay, so Optimum Trading, I used to say, was a 25-year-old business. It's actually 30 years we've been in business. We have served this country for 30 years, island-wide, end to end in every aspect of dentistry. And so, having done so, we have learned some things, and we're trying to share some things as part of just our journey.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. And, we need more businesses to do that, share their journey, share what's worked and how they're using technology now. So, Jason, tell us a little bit more about Optimum. Like, how many team members do you have there? How big is this 30-year-old business?
So, our team is still relatively small.
Okay.
So, we only have 15 full-time members, but we do work with a number of partners locally and overseas. And so our staff complement is beneficial by that. And we are able to really have a really impactful kind of reach to the customers here in Jamaica.
No, that's great. I mean, I love to hear stories of that. It's a 30-year-old business. That means you guys have stood the test of time and you obviously know what you're doing to keep in business and be very efficient with a small team, right? So tell us about some of the clients that you serve. Like, how many clients do you have? How many products are you managing?
Okay, so we have just a little over 400 customers and just close to 4,000 products.
Wow. Okay. So 400 customers, that's not a little bit, and 4,000 products, that's very interesting. So tell us a little bit more about the main functions of the business, because I understand it includes customer relationship management, invoicing, accounting, inventory management, supplier relationship management, employee task management, so much things, Salesforce, data mining and company reports. So I want to talk about, there's a lot there. So I want to talk about each of those functions, right? So let's talk about those.
Okay, sure. So we actually simplified all of what you just mentioned into, I would say, two spaces. The first is our actual core platform, which is we use Sage Peachtree. And that has allowed us to capture everything from our customer information or accounting information or inventory, etc. It captures everything. As a lead up to this particular evening, I went in search of, just a comparison between the different platforms that exist, what's available, etc. What is common are Sage, QuickBooks, and Wave. I think each of them have something different to offer and different to offer in a different way.
Yeah.
So if you're a commodities-based business that's focused on, I need to know who my customers are, I need to know who or what commodities I'm selling to them, you want to have something that's a little bit more robust. If you're a service-based business, then it's a little bit different, because really and truly, all you're trying to do is send an invoice and know when I've collected a payment for that invoice. So where you start in relation to what platform you want to use is A, what kind of business are you in? B, what size business are you? C, does this fit with me? Jordan, in the previous interview, indicated, how do you choose to select? And I think that's a very important thing. Not everybody's at the same place. Not everybody can do the same things. And so I think that if you give thought to either one of those three, in addition to the advice that he gave, it's a very good thing to do.
Yeah. So you said a lot of things right there. So I mentioned a whole bunch of different stuff that you're doing in your business, and you use the word simplified. And I love that because, that's what we're all looking for. Because when you're running a business and you have all of these things to think about, a CRM helps you to simplify so that you're kind of pulling everything together. So this is flowing from what we spoke about with Jordan. So you are a business, you're an example of a business that has taken all of this and you're using, you said Sage and Peachtree to kind of pull all of that. The same thing, Sage, Peachtree. Okay, you see there, I'm learning. To pull it all together. So tell me, how has this changed things in your business? Like, what have you seen? Have you seen increased sales, productivity? Just give us a picture of how this has benefited you.
So when I started, and I'm still young, not in
you're not there for you weren't there from inception.
When I started, we started with very basic systems. So we had an accounting platform that helped us with our inventory. We have since then, I haven't quite done a 10x, but I'm at about a 5, 6x, just because we have now started to use our systems more efficiently. So the first thing that we did was just use the data. We are capturing a lot of information around our customers, and we were not using it at all. So from how we choose to send out statements, how we send out invoices, how we choose to look at buying behavior, patterns, etc. All of that has now come into play, and we weren't doing it before, but good platforms allow you to have good data. And with good data, if you ask the right questions, then you can get the right kinds of answers.
Yeah. So, this is something that I'm sure some people are listening to and they're just like, I don't know, it's data to look for. I don't know how it is that I'm going to actually take this and make it more efficient, especially if I'm running a very lean operation, right? So I just want to ask, was it intuitive when you guys started utilizing these platforms? Did you start with like that one pain point that Jordan was talking about? Like, we'd want to solve this one problem. Or was it easy for you to unpack that data to make a decision? Or did you just go full force, switched over to this big CRM system? What was that process like?
Well, it literally started with one pain point, and it was trying to manage our inventory. How do we, because we have so many products, how do we accurately maintain our inventory? That's where it started.
Yeah, okay.
The tools that we have been using through the same platform has now given us so much more insight. So we now start to move, we have rather moved towards active accounting, postings, payroll, customer, to an extent, customer management, etc., all in one space. So I can tell you, if you were my customer,
So yeah,
I would know exactly when your birthday is.
yeah. So you started, so your base solution was inventory management. That's what you started with.
That was our core issue, and that's where we started as the core of our business, because we're commodities based.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that again, because, it's important for everyone to remember that. As you said, it depends on the type of business that you have. If you're service-based versus commodity-based, etc., that will determine the type of platform that you need, or it will determine the pain points that you have, right? Because if their business is heavily customer service centric, right? And that may be a big pain point for them. So they're able to stay in the core of their service, but then that follow-up or that managing that customer experience, a CRM could help them with that. You needed to manage a lot of inventory, right? Which is a lot different.
That's
so
correct.
I think it's a very important point that, you need to look at your business and see what works for you. So I want to get a sense of, and guys, remember, Jason is here for us to ask him questions. He's a fellow entrepreneur, business leader who we can pick his brain. So if you have a question, remember, talk to us like 6-year-olds. I'm going to ask a question anyways, if you want to know the answer. So, okay, somebody says Happy New Year to Jason. So yeah, happy 2021, Jason. So Of course, we can still say that. So I want to know, Jason, though, when you guys implemented, like you implemented that first technology, what is your average spend, if you don't mind us asking, on technology each year? Are you constantly adding, and what does that cost look like?
So I will answer you this way. There is an average increase in spend, yes, because we are consistently growing, and growth requires a certain kind of spend. But the platforms that we have been moving into and moving around are not necessarily expensive, so to speak.
Yeah.
But we have started with doing things like an email domain. In the past, we used to have an account that we used to send to customers at hotmail.com.
Oh, yeah, that was 30 years ago.
No, that's still
No, Jason, no.
Right?
You do.
So we said, okay, no, we need to register domain. We need to ensure that it is now at optimumtradingltd.com.
Right.
We need to have a website. And there are companies who have facilitated that process. You look at, can you now take orders online? How do you do that next?
Mm-hmm.
So in each iteration and each year, you kind of think to yourself, well, we can do things a little bit better,
Yeah.
but it doesn't necessarily cost exponentially more.
Mm-hmm.
It may cost a little bit more, yes, and some things are needful and useful. So I have found that in our own experience, when we were at hotmail.com kind of company, when I would try to get distribution rights, I would be ignored completely.
Mm-hmm.
Companies overseas are just like, you guys don't know what you're doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And a domain can cost you from $10 to $35, $40, depending on what it is. Changes the entire visual aspect of your business. And when I did that to go to our own domain, all of a sudden it was like, hey, how
You're serious. Yeah, people are now taking notice of you.
Company to another big company, right? And I think that was one of the things that we did in the early stages, and it was just very simple. It wasn't complicated. And then even when we added our Google account, Google probably charges you like now $5 per account, depending on what package you set.
Right.
And it's easy, but it gives you a far more professional outlook. So if you're doing business with people here or you're doing business with overseas, it changes everything. And it's a simple thing.
It does. It does. And
at hotmail.com.
No, Jason, stop telling me about hotmail.com. We're not, I hope nobody in their business is having a Hotmail, because guys, you need to be professional. And I'm saying this, I don't say it in jest either, right? It's not that expensive to get a domain and get at yourbusiness.com. If you're going to be in business, you should have that. Even a Gmail is better right now than at Hotmail. But I say that it's a very important point you brought up, Jason. And I see the poll here asking, do you use productivity tools like Asana, Slack, Trello? 32% say yes. 68% say no. So we have a lot of people on here today who need to be here today understanding the productivity tools. I use all of those.
So I've tried Asana. And I wear multiple hats for different businesses because I've been involved with different businesses. And Asana works well in a far larger organization. So if you are small and nimble, Asana actually is not a real productivity tool for you per se. No, I could be wrong, but I find that there are too many things that are
I
too many
see.
steps involved that does not allow you to quickly connect and make a decision,
Oh,
which is
that's
what is necessary
interesting.
in a small space. So there are some tools that are great,
Yes.
and there's nothing to take away from the effectiveness of those tools. It's
Right.
just that you have to think about, is this tool right for me? So I
Right.
have 3 CRMs, for example, but my Salesforce is 3. And, added it to their phones and whatever. It was not effective because it was just not the right scale to be worthwhile. Now, I have found tools, some of which we are internally developing ourselves. So we have a delivery logistics tool that I will just label as OMS that we use on a consistent basis. But what it does is that I don't need to now figure out where's my driver, where my driver is. I can tell you that it was delivered at X time, and this is the location it was delivered to.
Which is so
So
important.
I can abate whatever cost off I'm going to get because
Whatever cost. Yes, and guys, this is
No.
so important. So you've been adding, and that's an important thing. These are steps that you can take to make your customer experience more seamless, make your productivity. Because what Jason is saying is basically he's not going to get an email from or a phone call from a customer who's cussing that they haven't gotten their product or whatever yet. He doesn't have to go and investigate where it is. He knows exactly what it is. So he doesn't spend his time doing that. He's working on other things in the business, getting more business, right? Jason, I know we're running out of time, so I really want to ask you some more questions.
I'm here.
Next thing, so because you guys are so tech-enabled and you're using that to run your business, right? What is next for Optimum? What in enabling new technology? Like what solutions are you looking to add to the company in the next 12 to 24 months?
Well, I would say a stronger e-presence, which we're working towards, a stronger export presence, and a stronger workforce presence. Now, an e-presence to me does not mean social media necessarily. An e-presence means how the customer chooses to interact with us and how simple we choose to make it for them. So at present, you can order online from us. Is it easy? I hope so. I'm still taking feedback from our customers as to, is it working? Is it not working?
Yeah.
The other points, they will come. And what it is that we're consistently focused on what is next.
Yeah, that's important. So you're always, and you make better decisions because of the systems that you already have in place, which can help to inform what's next. And I just want to, Sandra Palmer says, agreed, the tool must be right for you, whether it's popular or not. And that just goes back to what we were talking about before. So you have to know what's going on in your business, what's right for you and your business. I personally love Asana and my own business outside of the Branson Center. I guess what I actually use it for the Branson Center. That's how I run everything. So, it just depends on what you do and how it works for you and how it works. Somebody else told me, Laurie, Asana is over, it's ClickUp. And I'm just like, no, this thing is just too complicated for me. I don't need that. So, it has to be with what works for you and what's right for your business. So the last question I'm going to ask you, Jason, is what is a process by which you use to select new technology solutions? So just kind of walk us through what that needs assessment is, how are you using that data to inform the decision? That's what we were talking about before. Just walk us through that.
The first thing I pay attention to is staff usability. Most people tend not to include that in their discussion or thought process. How my staff is going to use it is actually very important because if they can't use it, it's useless. Second to that is then cost. And then does it meet my business requirements?
Yeah, that's so important.
But most importantly, and I will highlight and emphasize, it is how my team will use it. If they don't feel that it makes sense, boy, boss, it's too complicated and that kind of thing, then it's actually a useless piece of software, because I would have invested money in something that they cannot use, and they need to be my advocates out there.
Yes, absolutely. And that is a huge point. It's, can your team use it? Is this right for your business? So I do want to wrap up now. Tell you, Jason, thank you so much. But I want to address a comment in the section here. Growth is always desired. However, given the fact that we've recommended that you use Yahoo, Hotmail, Gmail, I just want to affirm to those business persons who are not yet at the stage to create their own business domain names. So yes, guys, this is exactly what we're talking about here. You have to go with what works for you. Our professional recommendation is that you do get a domain that is going to give your company more credibility. Why? Because Jason just gave an example. To get that business, a big step was getting that domain name that costs $7. That's what it costs for the year. For the year, it costs $7. So we have to be strategic with what we're doing in our business. COVID is here, and yes, we have to think about how we can save, what's cost saving, but also the things that we need to invest in to drive the business forward. So ultimately, at the end of the day, we have to do what's right for our customers, what's right for our business, our team members. Is our team going to be able to utilize these technologies, as Jason said? So Jason, thank you so much for sharing with us and just letting us know what your experience has been like with technology and these productivity tools. Sure, we can hear more from you. How can we find you, Jason?
Do I really want to be found?
How do we find Optimum Trading?
So Optimum Trading can be found at 1A Trevanion Road. Our telephone numbers are 876-960-0855. I personally am more than happy to answer any questions to any entrepreneur anywhere you are, whether you're in Jamaica or overseas, around just how to do things a little bit better.
Thank you so much, Jason.
We all struggle and we all know how hard it is. So I'm more than happy to help.
Absolutely. Thank you. All right. That was Jason Clarke from Optimum Trading. So we have our next guest. Our next guest is Kathryn Chinsey, Research Analyst in Innovation at MC Systems. So Kathryn is currently serves as Lead Research Analyst in Innovation at MC Systems. She started her journey of improving people's lives and experiences about a decade ago. Being able to positively impact the community, the lives of Jamaicans, and those within our region is of paramount importance and drives her growth. Spreading the theme of innovation across business and society to create value in experiences in the lives of all. She believes strongly in the power of knowing oneself and being very clear on personal values on the journey to growth and success. Welcome, Kathryn.
Hi, Laurie. Hi, everyone. Night. Thanks for having me.
No, thank you. I mean, that by you just sound like my cup of tea. You know, you are now bringing it because, you know, we're talking about productivity tools and business and being able to, you know, maximize profit and maximize efficiencies, but it's changing people's lives. It's making people's lives better. And it sounds like that's like the ethos of, you know, of you and your mission. Tell us a little bit about that.
Absolutely. I mean, me personally, I always try to find myself in a space where I can help someone. You know, life is about the experience that whatever it is that we live. And I just feel like my life's purpose is to make your experience better, to make sure that you have the best experience you can have in whatever way. So any tool I'm a part of, any product that I help to develop, I'm always trying to think about, okay, what's that experience going to be like for the people who are actually going to touch this? And MC Systems has really just, that's what we're about.
So tell us about MC Systems. Like, who is MC Systems? What do you guys do?
Well, we are a technology company here in Jamaica, and we serve Jamaica, we serve multiple countries in the Caribbean, in Latin America, in Africa. We're innovators. That's who we are. And we partner with, you know, all of the, some of the leading names in the industry. We partner with Microsoft, we partner with UiPath, we partner with HP, Diebold, Verifone, in whatever space it is that we're doing work in, to help us to convert those ideas into action that can actually solve a complex problem, and create that value that we're talking about, a value and experience, a value for the business. The value can be measured in so many different ways. It's not just financial, it's experience, it's in your name, it's in everything, you know?
Yeah, it sounds like you take a very holistic approach to this, which is fantastic. Again, talking about, you know, we're talking about tools, but people use these tools, and these tools are used to create experiences so that people can make ideas come to life and can solve problems, you know? So first thing I want to ask you is, what are the key business productivity tools that you think SMEs need now, and why, to accomplish all of those things?
Well, Jordan and Jason would have helped us in that discussion, in talking about the CRMs, the ERPs. It's all about data. It's about being able to gather that data and to have it in a way that you can analyze it, that you can use it, because the value is in those insights. So on top of the CRMs, on top of the ERPs, you think about things like payroll.
Mm-hmm.
People ignore the value of a payroll system. It's so important, and it's not just about, okay, it's how you pay your people. It's team satisfaction, because them getting paid and getting paid correctly is, at the end of the day, that's what they're looking forward to. That's a part of their satisfying their physiological needs. And so that's you know, on Maslow says pay the people. And then it's also tax compliance, because we have to, you know, TAJ wants things, NIS wants things, NHT wants things, and we need to know what we're supposed to give them on behalf of our team members. And then there's insights to be garnered too, because you pick up things like team behavior. Because especially if you have like a time and attendance system tied to it, or just picking up like vacation days, sick days, those things, you start to see trends. You're able to notice the behaviors within your team, and you can actually pick up, okay, is someone slipping? Are we having satisfaction issues? Is there something going on with someone? They're always sick. Do we know if they're actually okay? Do they need support? And these things, if you really pay attention to them, the data is there again. So it's just about actually going through processing it to get those insights. And then, of course, we have all these systems, but these systems have to reside somewhere, whether it be, so it's infrastructure in whatever ways. It's whether it is a cloud infrastructure, or it's a server room, or whatever it is, or it's your you know, Apple phone, or whatever it is, whatever your device is, whatever your infrastructure looks like. Your infrastructure could be a book and a pen.
Right.
It could be. No, we want if you're still using books and pens only, guys.
Okay, because I was about to say, I love book and pen. I love writing things down.
No. And you know what? It's just the way that we learn. There's something about writing it down. I'm gonna try and figure out the psychology behind it, because I just have to write. I don't know. I don't remember anything if I don't write it down. But no, you can't, as a business, and the whole theme of digital transformation is that data is invaluable if you can't process it. Yeah. So if it's not in a space that you can actually use it. So if it's on pieces of paper all over the place, or you have like a bookshelf full of notepads or whatever, or if it's a notepad that you're going to throw away, you'll never be able to come back to it.
I like that. I think you brought home something a while ago, like the collation of the information. And it just occurred to me a while ago, you know, so we have all of these systems, and I love the book analogy that you brought in, because we have many people start with writing things down. You have an idea, you write it down. You know, you have a process, you start writing down the process. And then you have a process over here, you have a process over here. And I think it's the same thing with when you have departments, or you have different people on your team who have different processes, and you kind of need to pull them all together so you can kind of have that bird's eye view and look at that data and say, okay, what's going on here? So when you're talking about, but let's go back to the whole payroll system, right? There are multiple things that are going on there, as you said, that you can infer and you can get insights from. So one let's go back to, it's going to solve a pain point, right?
Yeah.
You have to pay your people every month or fortnight or however you're paying them. You need to pay these taxes. You need to make sure that they're compliant because they are going to need these things. So that's one aspect, but it's giving you these insights into being a better leader. Like, do I need to talk to this person about their absenteeism, or what's really going on with this person and their absenteeism, or how can I make sure my company is running more efficiently? And when you have that kind of big perspective, and we're just using that as an example, it allows you to take action on something. But when you have it all over the place and you can't take action on anything, right?
Yeah, that's exactly.
Right. So yeah, great analogy, Kathryn, says Wayne. Very, very true. Yeah, absolutely. So it's very important. But okay, so we're talking about payroll systems. Now, when do you know that you actually need a payroll system? So it's good, if I am somebody who is running a business with like me and one person, do I need a payroll system?
Are you running a business?
Yes, I am.
Is it an operation?
Yes, it's an operational
business. You need a payroll system.
All right. Okay. So I see the questions. Those were rhetorical. Gotcha.
Yeah. So the moment you start operations, the moment you have a team, you need some form of system. And again, what that system looks like is going to depend on what you need to do, because you may be able to, run an Excel sheet for you and your one person. But there is also, the benefits of having a payroll system that's developed by people who this is their job. This is their focus. This is their expertise. Is that, especially in Jamaica, and I guess in every jurisdiction, it's like this. But our tax laws or income tax laws and our salary deduction calculations can be tricky.
Yeah.
And so some of the benefits to things like that is those calculations are already embedded. And when the government changes something, the vendor, it's on them as part of your maintenance contract to update those things. So go ahead.
Well, I want to know, so there's that legality behind it, right? And so once you register a business, you start operating a business, you're actually collecting revenue from the business, you should have one. But what kind of payroll systems are actually out there, and what system is right for what type of operation? Because we have multiple industries here,
Payroll, it starts with, maybe it's a pen and pencil, maybe that's your system, maybe it's Excel. But when you start to look at payroll providers, so if I think about our payroll solution, which is BizPay, we have different flavors of BizPay based on what you need as a business. Do you have the capacity to do your payroll in-house, or do you want to outsource to us?
Okay.
Are you a small business or are you a large business? That's going to determine whether it makes business sense for you to implement that system in-house, or if you're going to have a smaller subscription-based system in the cloud. We have a system called Business Central, where that is all, it's all web-based. You don't have to install anything. You don't need to have that infrastructure. You don't need to have a server running. And so it all depends on what you need. And then the scale, just like what Jordan was talking about, what you need to leverage, the capabilities of the system are going to depend on, or the capabilities that you need are going to depend on what you need to achieve. So do you have one payroll, or do you have multiple payrolls? Do you have different types of payrolls? Do you have multiple payment schedules? So we have clients who may have, they're one company, but they have 6 payrolls, because they have an executive payroll, they have a regular payroll, they have a fortnightly payroll, they have a weekly payroll, they have a monthly payroll. So it's also companies. You have some companies who have pension plans and multiple pension plans for different for that their team members can be a part of. So it's what's happening with you. So the conversation that we would have at that point is, okay, what are you trying to achieve?
Right.
how do you operate? What do your teams look like? What do your departments look like? And let's find something that makes the best business sense for you.
Right. So it sounds very personalized. So it's a customized system. So when you guys go in, right, you have multiple solutions, right? When you go into a company, so those are some of the things I imagine you would be assessing. What type of payroll they have, how many different systems. Is there anything else that you'd be going in to assess when you were looking in to implement a payroll system for a company?
I'm going to be looking at what they're doing now in terms of manual processes related to it. So one of the things that we've been exploring is automation within the payroll process. So just taking away the automation that happens in calculation and those things and the reports that the system is able to generate, you have an end-to-end process where you start from where that data comes from. So if it's a time and attendance system, if it's just a general standard payroll deductions that you're doing. So we look at what's the nature of your business, how do you pay your teams, and then what does it look like, where does that data come from, and can we help you what is that data digital? Because if it's not digital, then what's the process to get
to digitize and then get it
in the system? And then it's how do you actually pay them? Because it's one thing to run the process, but it's now actually getting their funds to them in whatever banking system or whatever it is.
Right. And so do you guys connect the banks for them, or how does that happen? So
that's a tricky thing here in Jamaica, where what banks generally facilitate, especially for companies with business accounts, is that they have what they call file uploads, where they have a file template that you can upload into the system. But again, that is a little manual. So what we've looked at is actually applying, because again, we use technology to solve problems, is we looked at using robotics process automation. That automation, and we're able to replicate what that individual would have done. So we are looking at, especially if you do your payroll with us, we can take it from getting that data all the way to paying your teams for you. If you're outsourcing to us. And what we've done internally is we've used RPA to manage a lot of that manual process. So that we are not the ones taking that report now from the system and then going to NCB online, for example, and entering, let me pay Lori, let me pay Jason. It's all happening through a process that has triggers. And it's, one click of a button and I can walk away and 10,000 people are paid in a few seconds.
Right. Yeah. So it's quite, you said payroll systems and you just ultimately think, okay, get a payroll system and it's a soups and it's done. But talking to you, it's quite involved. So it's not a simple one too, it sounds like. So, when you go into a company to really assess, what's that infrastructure that they have, which you spoke about, is it pen and paper, is it digitized, or is it, spreadsheet? And then you look through actually trying to create and develop a design or a solution for a client that's affordable. How do you do that?
Again, it comes back to what budget is always a factor. Always. Any business, it doesn't matter the size of the business. Budget is always something that has to be considered. So it's about looking at what's necessary. What's the problem that we're trying to solve, and what's the goal? What is that specific strategic objective that the company is trying to satisfy? Why they reached out to us, or why they, or why we saw them as an opportunity, depending on the conversation. And it's about, okay, because again, it's not just about the system, because it's not enough just to say, well, I've onboarded a payroll system. There's other things involved coming back to that infrastructure. And so it's, do they have the infrastructure in place to solve it? Which is why we went with something like a BizPay Central that doesn't require you to have that infrastructure. And now what has happened is BizPay Central has become really affordable because it's scalable to the number of employees you have. So the size of business is going to determine your rate.
Yeah, absolutely. So essentially you have created, you have solutions that you can build that are customized, that are probably in depth looking at the infrastructure, but you've also have a solution that's cloud-based, that's easy
Yeah,
for a business to implement right now. Do you do any training with that? Like, do you go in and train the
absolutely.
team? How does that work? And what do you train them to
Absolutely.
do?
So of course, typical legalese, paperwork, signing things, and then once we come in, we walk you through it. We have a team that's dedicated to that, and that team is not only gonna train you, but they're always gonna be there on call for you as you're going through the process. So this is assuming that you're running your own paper and you've onboarded to this Pay Center, for example, and we're gonna walk you through setting up the company. We're gonna set up the company, set up your team members on the system, and we're going to walk you through every step, and we're going to hold your hand for a little bit, and maybe the first month we're going to do it with you, and because we want to make sure that you're okay,
Right.
and we want to make, and what we do is we also tend to have like I guess in some cases like a warranty period, but it's not a warranty period, where we just make sure that all the calculations are coming out right.
Okay.
Making sure you're not having any issues, making sure that things are running the way that they should. And we are on call for you during those business hours, depending on what your contracts say.
Right.
And so we can help you remotely. We can log in through TeamViewer or whatever it is. We can look on our side. So we're always there to help you. So you're never really alone. We don't just say, here, take it, bye, thanks for your money, later.
No, that's good. That customer service part, guys, is so important. I just want to, Stacey Hines, hi, Stacey, says amen to that. What is the strategic objective they are seeking to achieve? So that's what we were talking about before when looking at the whole system and what they should implement. So, we always love case studies and we love to hear results and everything. So is there a client that you have worked with, you don't have to name any names, that you have implemented this technology or a solution for? Could you tell us what improvement they had in their business so that we can kind of understand how these things are really supporting businesses?
Okay, well, in general, we have a value proposition and we tend to see it materialize when we go through an implementation. With any implementation, the idea is usually, again, to meet KPIs. It's usually to create efficiencies. It's usually to solve a pain. And so when a customer comes to us, that even that initial conversation you asked about, which is what we're looking for, we're trying to identify the frustrations. We're trying to see, what are your productivity levels? Where can we bridge the gap for you? So when we go into a business, most of our customers, we've had scenarios where, so for example, there was one customer in particular. They had 6 or 7 companies within a group of companies.
That's a lot going on in there.
And then because of the nature of their industry, they also had multiple payrolls within each business. And they had one team doing all of that payroll. So when we initially met with them, there was a lady who I am convinced that post-implementation, we took 10 years. We gave her back 10 years on her life. Like, I went into her office one day to talk.
Oh, yeah.
And it looked like she had a makeover. She was just, relieved and stuff. And the testimonial usually sounds a lot like, we have time to do other things. Yes. We don't have piles of paper on our desk anymore. We aren't bogged down. We're not here till 10, 11, 12, 1 a.m. trying to run this process anymore. We don't have several spreadsheets trying to manage. And what we were able to do for them as well is encourage them to, again, talking about data source, is implement a digital time and attendance system that supported the hourly work, the teams who were working in that hourly rate. Because it's easy that when you have, especially in payroll, it's very easy for you to, or it's easier, not very easy, but easier for you to run payroll when you have standard salary.
Operating procedures. Yeah. Everything that we've been talking about today is just, it's important for everyone listening that, it's going to make you get back 10 years. It's going to make you get back time. It's going to make you save money. So important. And I thank you so much, Kathryn, for coming on and talking to us about payroll. I am out of time, so I have to wrap this up. I could talk to all of y'all for so long because there's just so much to talk about business, and we could get into so much more details to really dissect this. But you've given us so much information, given us a different perspective on payroll and why it's useful. And thank you so much for joining me today. And I just want to say thanks to everyone who joined me. And I have a few more things that I want to remind you guys about. Well, first, let's wrap up. We talked about CRMs, customer relationship management systems, and why they're so good for your business. Talking about, creating that customer journey and how it's going to solve some pain points for you and your business. So it really is about understanding what's going on for you and your business. Where do you need to get more efficient and see productivity, and looking for taking those incremental steps, just like what Jason did in his business, one pain point at a time, thinking about maybe payroll might be a good option, just like what Kathryn spoke about, but really looking at what does your business need? How can you save 10 years of your life, or save money, or save an hour out of your day? Productivity tools can do that for you. I want to remind you, because I saw the poll, 60% of people have not signed up for the conference yet. So remember, the technology conference is coming up March 5th, 2021. We're also going to have virtual booths the next day, which is on the 6th. Come out and learn all about websites and e-commerce. We are in that world now, guys. We have been quantum leaped into this. Emails, how to collect emails for your leads, social media, and so much more. Make sure you register for the conference, smallbusinessportal.com. Rochelle and Nevada will see you all next week. It's been an honor to be here on COVIDCASTJA. Thank you so much for having me. And that's it. I will see you guys in the chat next time, because that's where I'll be.
Hello, everybody. Stop what you're doing right now. The following is a very important message for micro, small, and medium-sized businesses. Set your calendars for March 5th and March 6th, 2021 for the free Let's Go Digital Conference. You heard me right. It's free.
Let's go digital.
Those who are at revenue of about 1 million per year to about 500 million per year, or those who want to learn more about digital transformation, this conference is for you. Set your calendar for March 5th and 6th, 2021 for our Go Digital Virtual Conference. We'll be sharing success stories from companies just like yours that have already gone on this digital journey. You will see solutions from fellow MSMEs that have technical solutions that will empower your business.
We are going to break down the technology choices in a simple to understand language and ensure that you walk away from Let's Go Digital with the right technology solutions for your business.
We have been working with the Jamaica Technology Digital Alliance and have cast a wide net, inviting tech companies to come on board with delivering on this mission. We'll be exploring simple to more comprehensive e-commerce solutions, payment plugins, banking platforms, logistics platforms for warehousing, distribution, and data intelligence. Don't be afraid as we'll walk through each of these things.
Let's go digital!
The Development Bank of Jamaica, that's DBJ, will be providing grants to MSMEs of $200,000. You've got to be at the Let's Go Digital Conference because we are going digital.
So come as an expert or a beginner. We promise it will be worth your while. Register at www.smallbusinessportal.com. Looking forward to seeing you all there. Okay?